You can rebuild your entire mind in 90 days. 1 hour a day can change everything. You're not stuck. You're just understructured. Most people in America aren't falling behind because they're weak. They're falling behind because their minds are overwhelmed, overstimulated, and exhausted. Life has become a non-stop stream of noise. Notifications, pressure, expectations, deadlines, worries, comparisons. And when your attention is constantly pulled apart, it becomes almost impossible to think clearly, act intentionally, or stay focused on what truly matters. But 90 days of disciplined intention can reverse years of mental chaos. Not with perfection, not with force, but with consistency. Your mind isn't broken, it just needs a reset. Your focus isn't gone, it's buried under noise. Your potential didn't disappear, it's waiting for structure. Think about how your mornings have been lately. You wake up tired, you grab your phone, you scroll, you react. You're already behind before you've even started. The day owns you before you've owned a single moment. That's the pattern silently draining millions of people across the country. Not a lack of intelligence, not a lack of ambition, just a lack of daily systems that protect your time, your energy, and your mental clarity. The truth is, your life follows your mind. If the mind is scattered, the life becomes scattered. If the mind is intentional, the life becomes intentional. 90 days is enough to make that shift. Consistency beats motivation every single time. Small daily wins create massive long-term change. 1 hour a day is not a sacrifice. It's a strategy. During these 90 days, you're not trying to become a different person overnight. You're learning how to become someone who shows up, someone who follows through, someone who doesn't let distractions decide their life. And that identity shift, the shift from reacting to choosing, is what transforms everything. That's why the next 90 minutes matter. This audiobook will give you a 10-part blueprint to rebuild your mind from the inside out. Simple, powerful, practical steps you can apply immediately, even on your busiest days. You don't need a new life. You need new daily standards. You don't need hype. You need structure. You don't need more time. You need better direction. Over the next 90 days, your job is straightforward. Protect 1 hour a day. Not an hour of scrolling, not an hour of trying, but an hour of intentional building. 1 hour where you choose growth over distraction. 1 hour where you choose clarity over noise. 1 hour where you choose the future version of yourself instead of the familiar patterns holding you back. It doesn't matter if it's early morning, late at night, or during a lunch break. What matters is the commitment. The hour exists. The work gets done. Imagine this. 90 days from now, you wake up and you actually feel grounded. Your mind is quieter. Your focus is sharper. Your choices feel intentional instead of rushed. You trust yourself again. That's not a fantasy. It's the predictable result of consistent reconstruction. Because your mind adapts to what you repeatedly do. And when you repeatedly choose clarity, your brain rewires itself for clarity. When you repeatedly protect your time, your mind learns discipline. When you repeatedly finish what you start, you rebuild self-respect. You rise when you stop negotiating with yourself. You change when your habits change. You rebuild when you decide you're done living on autopilot. Think of the last few years of your life. Maybe you started things you never finished. Maybe you let distractions win more often than you wanted. Maybe you lost some of the confidence you used to have. That doesn't make you a failure. That makes you human in a world designed to steal your focus. But 90 days is long enough to take all of that back. To restore the discipline you lost. To strengthen the mindset you once had. To rebuild the version of you that moves with intention instead of impulse. You don't rise by chance. You rise by choice. Not later. Not eventually. Today. This 90-day journey is built on 4 pillars: discipline, clarity, progress, and identity. These 4 things are the backbone of every successful transformation. Discipline gives you control. Clarity gives you direction. Progress gives you momentum. And identity, the person you choose to become, gives you a life that lasts. Everything you hear in this audiobook will connect back to these 4. Every chapter is designed to take you deeper into the process of rebuilding a mind that works for you. not against you. Now picture this moment, 90 days in the future. You're standing at the beginning of a new chapter in your life. Not because someone saved you, not because circumstances magically changed, but because you changed. Because you decided your mind deserved better than chaos. Because you stopped waiting for motivation and built structure instead. Because you showed up, 1 hour a day, every day, and proved to yourself that you are capable of so much more than you've been living. This is your wake-up call. This is your new beginning. Your 90 days start now. Chapter 1. The 4% Rule. 1 hour a day to rebuild your life. 1 hour a day is only 4% of your time, but that 4% can rebuild the other 96. Your future won't be shaped by what you do once in a while. It will be shaped by what you do every day. Most people want change, but they imagine it demands a giant leap or a dramatic turning point. They imagine they need a full schedule overhaul, perfect conditions, or the kind of motivation that shakes the earth. That's why they wait. They wait for a new year, a new month, or a new version of themselves that feels ready. But the mind doesn't rebuild through shock waves. It rebuilds through rhythm, through small, consistent bites of controlled effort, through the quiet intention of showing up. And that is exactly why the first chapter of your 90-day rebuild begins with the simplest, most powerful principle: the rule of 4%. If you can control 4% of your day, you can eventually control all of it. If you can win 1 hour, you can win your life. Discipline doesn't start big. It starts scheduled. You become powerful the moment your day stops happening to you and starts happening because of you. That shift doesn't require a miracle. It requires a decision. 1 hour, protected, intentional, distraction-free, signals to your brain that something new is happening. It tells your identity, we are serious now. It moves you from drifting into choosing. In a world where everyone complains they have no time, the truth is simpler. People don't lack time. They lack ownership of time. When you don't claim your hour, the world claims it for you. Think about how most Americans start their day. The alarm rings. Snooze. The phone comes up. Notifications. Emails. The news. Social media. Before their feet hit the floor, they've already handed over their focus, energy, and emotional stability to everything except themselves. One small choice pulls them into a loop of reaction. Reacting to messages, reacting to deadlines, reacting to noise, reacting to problems. And when life is lived in reaction, growth becomes impossible. Because reaction is the opposite of intention. You cannot rebuild a mind that is constantly reacting. You rebuild by slowing down, choosing, and protecting your hour. So what does this 1 hour look like? It is not an hour of pressure. It is not an hour where you attempt to conquer your entire life. This hour is a container, a mental sanctuary, where you do one thing: build. It might be reading. It might be writing. It might be training your body. It might be working on a skill that shapes your future. It might be strengthening the mental muscles you've ignored for years. The specifics matter less than the consistency. What matters is that for 1 hour every day, you do something that moves your life forward. This is your builder's hour. This is where the new you is made. This is where your discipline takes its first breath. In the beginning, your mind will resist. It will tell you that an hour is too much, even though you easily spend more than that, scrolling, worrying, escaping, or thinking about what you should do. It will tell you you're tired. It will tell you it doesn't matter. It will tell you to start tomorrow. That resistance is not a sign of weakness. It's a sign of misalignment. Your old habits don't want to die. They want to keep you predictable, comfortable, and unchanged. But the moment you sit down for that 1 hour, even when you don't feel ready, your identity begins to shift. You don't show up because you feel strong. You feel strong because you show up. This is why the 4% rule is the foundation of your 90-day rebuild. It teaches your brain that you are no longer negotiating with yourself, that you have crossed the line from wishing into choosing, that you are stepping into a higher standard. And your brain responds to standards much faster than it responds to motivation. Motivation is optional. Standards are non-negotiable. Every great transformation you admire, from athletes to entrepreneurs to leaders, began with daily ownership. No one becomes exceptional through occasional focus. They become exceptional by protecting the same small window of time every single day until it becomes who they are. That's the secret people overlook. They chase hacks, shortcuts, and quick results, but the real transformation is built on boring, consistent repetition. 1 hour, over and over, until the process becomes part of your identity. Your habits build your outcomes. But your identity builds your habits. Let's break down how your builder's hour actually rewires you. The first thing it creates is clarity. When you sit down intentionally, your mind gets a clear signal. This is the moment we grow. Clarity reduces anxiety. It slows the internal noise. It trains your brain to shift from scattered to centered. Over time, your mind starts craving that hour because it becomes the one place where everything makes sense. The second thing it builds is momentum. People think momentum comes from big wins, but it actually comes from consistency. The moment you complete your hour, even if the hour was imperfect, you experience something rare in modern life: self-respect. You begin to trust yourself. You begin to believe in your ability to follow through. That trust is the spark that ignites everything else. The third thing it builds is identity. Every time you show up, you reinforce a new belief. I am the kind of person who does the work. This identity shift affects your decisions, your discipline, your energy, your confidence. Suddenly, you don't just want to grow, you expect yourself to grow. Identity is the real transformation. When you change who you believe you are, the habits follow. When the habits follow, the life follows. Now let's talk about how to actually protect this hour, because protecting it is where the real work happens. First, you must choose a time, not a vague idea, an actual locked-in hour. Morning is ideal because the world hasn't invaded your mind yet. But if morning isn't possible, choose another hour and defend it fiercely. This hour must become more non-negotiable than appointments, entertainment, or excuses. This is the hour that decides who you become. Second, you eliminate friction. You prepare the night before. You set your materials out. You decide exactly what you will focus on during the hour. The brain hates uncertainty. It thrives on clarity. When you remove friction, showing up becomes natural. Third, you refuse negotiation. You let yourself debate. You will lose. Discipline starts where negotiation ends. When the hour arrives, you start. Not tomorrow, not when you feel good. Now. Fourth, you accept imperfection. Some days will be powerful. Some days will be messy. Some days you will barely feel present, but you show up anyway. Because the goal is not perfection. The goal is repetition. Repetition builds identity. Identity builds transformation. Protect the hour, and the hour will protect your future. Show up for the hour, and the hour will show up for you. Honor the hour, and the hour will reshape your mind. Look ahead 90 days. Imagine looking back, knowing you completed 90 hours of intentional rebuilding, 90 hours of sharpening your focus, 90 hours of strengthening your discipline, 90 hours of becoming the version of yourself you always knew you were capable of being. That version of you is not built in one giant leap. It is built 1 hour at a time. The rule of 4% is your proof that small doesn't mean weak. Small means sustainable, and sustainable is unbeatable. This is the beginning of your rebuild. This is where everything changes. Not because you dream bigger, but because you show up smaller, 1 hour, every day, without fail. This chapter is not just an idea, it is the foundation of your new identity. And when you master the 4%, the future opens in ways you once thought impossible. This is your hour. Claim it, protect it, build with it. 90 days from now, you'll thank yourself for every minute. Chapter 2. Win your mornings. Win your 90 days. How you start your day is how you shape your life. Your first hour decides your direction. If you lose your morning, you spend the rest of the day trying to catch up. Most people don't fail because their goals are unrealistic. They fail because their mornings are chaotic. They wake up tired, already behind, instantly overwhelmed. Their mind is pulled in 10 directions before their body even stands up. And once the morning collapses, the day becomes a battlefield of recovery instead of progress. When your first decisions are reactive, your whole mindset becomes reactive. But when you take command of the morning, you shift the entire rhythm of your life. You stop drifting and start directing. A controlled morning is a controlled mind. A controlled mind is the foundation of every long-term transformation. When you wake up and reach for your phone, you hand your focus to the world before you give yourself a chance to breathe. Notifications, messages, headlines, opinions. They hijack your mental space and bury your clarity under noise. Instead of beginning the day with intention, you begin it with interruption. And that interruption drains your decision-making power before the day even begins. This is why so many Americans feel mentally exhausted before noon. Their morning becomes a leak that drains the entire tank. The first battle of the day is not the commute, the job, or the responsibilities. The first battle is your attention. If you win that battle, the rest becomes easier. So the second chapter of your 90-day rebuild is simple but life-changing. Master your mornings. Not by adding complicated routines, not by forcing unrealistic habits, but by reclaiming the first 60 minutes of your day. If the first hour belongs to you, the rest of the day is far more likely to follow. Your morning is your anchor. Your anchor keeps you steady. Your steadiness is your strength. The first step is eliminating the single most destructive habit, the snooze button. When you hit snooze, you tell your mind that delay is acceptable. You teach your identity that comfort outranks commitment. You start your day with avoidance instead of action, and no rebuild can survive avoidance. When the alarm rings, the goal is not to feel ready. It is simply to stand up. One small act of leadership over your own body. One small message to your mind. I choose what happens next. Once you're up, the rule is simple. No phone for the first hour. Not because phones are evil, but because your mind needs a clean runway. You cannot think clearly when your brain is stuffed with digital clutter. You cannot rebuild your focus when you begin the day absorbing everyone else's priorities except your own. Give yourself 60 uninterrupted minutes to exist before the world intrudes. Silence before stimulation. Intention before information. Presence before pressure. Now let's build the morning ritual that will power your 90 days. This ritual isn't about perfection, it's about momentum. Momentum that lasts long after the morning ends. Start with movement. Not a workout that breaks you, just movement that wakes you. A walk, light stretching, a few minutes of breathing. Something that brings your body online and signals your mind that the day is beginning with purpose. Movement increases clarity, stabilizes your mood, and primes your brain for focus. It separates your new self from your old habits. Next, drink water. It's simple, but it matters. Your brain performs better when your body is hydrated. Your energy rises, your alertness increases, and you physically feel more alive, more present, more capable. Then choose one sentence, just one, to define your day. Something like, today I move with clarity. Today I follow through. Today I respect my time. This is not a mantra. It's a direction. It's a command to the mind. The less you leave to chance, the stronger your focus becomes. Finally, identify your one meaningful output. Not 3 goals. Not a long to-do list. Just one thing that truly moves your life forward. Something that gives the day purpose. Something that builds your future, not just maintains your present. When you decide early, your mind stops wandering. It stops guessing. It knows what matters. A meaningful day starts with a meaningful morning. Most people wake up and stumble into their day. They let the world set their tone. They let randomness decide their mood. They let other people shape their priorities. And then they wonder why they feel lost, unfocused, or stuck. But clarity is not an accident. Focus is not luck. Momentum is not magic. They are created, built intentionally at the start of the day. If the morning is messy, the mind is messy. If the morning is centered, the mind is centered. This is why winning your morning is the second pillar of the 90-day rebuild. Because your morning is the doorway between who you were yesterday and who you intend to become today. When you step through that doorway with structure, everything shifts. You become calmer, more grounded, more decisive, more respected by yourself first and eventually by others. The world responds differently to a person who begins their day with intention, but mastering the morning doesn't mean every morning will feel easy. There will be days when you wake up tired, frustrated, overwhelmed, or unmotivated. That's normal. You're human. But here's the truth most people never realize. You don't build a powerful life on powerful days. You build it on the hard ones, on the mornings when you don't want to get up, on the mornings when your feelings betray you, on the mornings when you show up anyway. Discipline is born in the moments you don't want to do the work. Identity is shaped in the moments you choose it anyway. In these 90 days, the goal is not a perfect morning routine. The goal is ownership. Ownership over your first decisions. Ownership over your first thoughts. Ownership over your first hour. If you control the opening of the day, you control the momentum of the day. And if you control the momentum of the day, you eventually control the direction of your life. Imagine yourself 90 days from now. Your mornings no longer feel rushed, no longer feel chaotic, no longer feel heavy or overwhelming. You start the day with clarity. You move with confidence. You know exactly what matters and why. That version of you is not built through motivation. It is built through repetition, through presence, through the daily decision to win the morning instead of surrender it. Your life won't change because you hope for it. It will change because your mornings demand it. Win your morning. Win your 90 days. Win yourself back. Chapter 3. Protect your focus. Like your life depends on it. Focus isn't found. Focus is protected. Your mind isn't distracted because you're weak. It's distracted because everything around you is engineered to break you. If you don't guard your attention, the world will steal it piece by piece. Modern life constantly competes for your focus. Notifications ping. Ads flash. Conversations pull you off track. Apps are designed to keep you scrolling. So much of the American lifestyle is structured around overstimulation, and the result is a brain that can't hold a thought for more than a few seconds. This isn't a personal flaw, it's a system problem. But the beautiful part is this. Once you understand the system, you can break free from it. Focus stops being a battle and becomes a muscle. A scattered mind cannot build a powerful life. A focused mind can build anything. Let's be honest about how most people try to live. They jump between tasks. They chase every notification. They attempt 10 things in an hour and finish none. They feel busy but accomplish very little. And at the end of the day, they're drained, frustrated, and confused about where the time went. That confusion is not accidental. It's what happens when your attention is fragmented into tiny pieces. Your mind never gets the chance to go deep, think clearly, or produce meaningful results. You don't lack focus. Your focus lacks protection. That's why Chapter 3 introduces one powerful mission. Build an attention shield. This shield is the barrier between you and the constant demands of the world. Without it, your 90-day rebuild collapses. With it, everything accelerates. Building this shield isn't complicated. It comes down to 3 layers: block, choose, and immerse. Block the noise. Choose the task. Immerse in the process. The first layer, block, is about removing unnecessary entry points. Put your phone on Do Not Disturb. Turn off notifications. Close irrelevant tabs. Reduce digital clutter. Not because discipline is about restriction, but because discipline is about freedom. When your mind is free from interruptions, it naturally becomes stronger and more stable. Blocking distractions creates the mental space required for deep focus. Silence isn't empty. Silence is power. The second layer, choose, forces you to decide what matters. You pick one task, not 5, not 3. 1. Your brain functions best when it knows exactly what to target. Choosing one priority removes mental fog. It eliminates decision fatigue, and it gives your actions direction instead of randomness. When your mind knows where to go, it stops wandering. Clarity kills confusion. Confusion kills progress. The third layer, immerse, turns your focus into a force. This is where you work in uninterrupted blocks. 25 minutes, 45 minutes, 50 minutes, whatever structure fits your style. The point is immersion, not half focus, not multitasking, not dipping in and out. Immersion turns 15 minutes into powerful output. It turns average effort into meaningful work. Depth beats speed. Presence beats pressure. But here's the part people overlook. Protecting your focus is not just about productivity. It's about identity. When you consistently shield your attention, you become someone who respects their time. Someone who isn't controlled by impulses. Someone who leads their mind instead of being led by it. This identity shift makes your 90-day transformation stick. Because when you see yourself as a focused person, your thoughts and habits naturally align. You cannot become your future self with your current level of distraction. Let's look at why your brain struggles with focus today. Multitasking rewires your mind to crave quick rewards. Dopamine from constant switching makes your brain impatient. Noise makes your thoughts chaotic. Screens train your attention to scatter instead of lock in. Your brain learns exactly what you repeat. If you train it to jump, it jumps. If you train it to stay, it stays. This is why protecting your focus is a non-negotiable part of the rebuild. It reconditions your brain. What you allow becomes what you repeat. What you repeat becomes who you are. Look at the most successful people in America, entrepreneurs, athletes, leaders. They all share one trait. They protect their focus like it's sacred. They say no often. They minimize distractions ruthlessly. They create environments where their best self can thrive. They aren't superhuman. They're structured, and structure beats chaos every time. Now picture your own life. Picture what would happen if every day included 1 hour of deep, high-quality focus. 1 hour where you're fully present. 1 hour where your mind isn't being hijacked. 1 hour where you build something real. The results would compound. Your clarity would increase. Your creativity would return. Your confidence would strengthen. You would finally feel yourself moving forward instead of spinning in place. Focus is the difference between movement and progress, between effort and results, between wishing and building. But protecting your focus requires boundaries. You must learn to say no. No to unnecessary calls. No to digital distractions. No to the fear of missing out. No to conversations that drain you. No to anything that breaks your attention away from the life you are rebuilding. Every yes costs something. Every no buys back your life. You also need a clean environment. A cluttered desk creates a cluttered mind. A disorganized digital space increases mental friction. When your environment supports your focus, your brain relaxes into clarity. Simplicity is not an aesthetic, it's a psychological advantage. Most importantly, protecting your focus requires emotional discipline. You must resist the impulse to check your phone. Resist the urge to switch tasks. Resist the temptation to avoid the hard thing. Every time you hold the line, you strengthen the muscle. And like any muscle, it grows. Your focus is your freedom. Your focus is your leverage. Your focus is your future. Imagine 90 days where you followed this principle. 90 days where you fought for your attention instead of giving it away. 90 days where you honored your priorities. 90 days where you stayed present long enough to make real progress. That version of you, disciplined, clear-minded, steady, strong, already exists. It's waiting behind your distractions. Protect your focus, and you will change your life. Lose your focus, and nothing changes. This chapter is your turning point. From this moment on, your attention is no longer up for negotiation. You've seen what distraction costs you. Now you'll see what focus can give you. Guard your mind. Guard your hour. Guard your future. When you protect your focus, everything else becomes possible. Chapter 4. Build something meaningful. Every single day, if you want a different life, you must build a different day. And if you want a different day, you must create something that matters inside it. You cannot rebuild your mind if you're only consuming. You must produce. Most people live their lives stuck in a cycle of intake. Information, entertainment, opinions, noise. They read, watch, scroll, absorb and react. They consume endlessly, but they rarely create. That imbalance leaves them feeling empty, unfulfilled, and directionless. Humans were not designed to only take things in. We were built to make things, shape things, contribute things. Creation is what gives your life momentum. Consumption alone keeps you stagnant. Consumption fills you. Creation transforms you. Consumption distracts you. Creation defines you. The fourth chapter of your 90-day rebuild is simple. Every day, you must build one thing, one meaningful output that moves your life forward. Not 10 things, not a long checklist, not a mountain of tasks, just one thing that matters. When you build something each day, you shift your identity from a passive observer to an active creator. You stop drifting and start directing. You stop waiting for life to change and start shaping it with your own hands. This is the moment where your 90-day transformation begins to feel real, because you're no longer thinking about growth, learning about growth, or talking about growth. You're creating it. Your life changes when your output changes. A meaningful life is built, not imagined. Let's talk about what meaningful output actually means. It's not about productivity for the sake of being busy. It's not about hustling without purpose. A meaningful output is anything that builds the future version of you. Something that strengthens your mind, refines your skills, improves your discipline, cleans your environment, or advances your long-term goals. It's intentional creation. For some, meaningful output might be writing a page of a book. For others, it might be studying a skill for their career. It might be building a small part of a project, solving a lingering problem, preparing a plan, practicing a craft, cleaning a space that drains them, or completing a piece of work that actually matters. What matters is that it moves you forward. A meaningful output is any action that makes tomorrow easier. If it builds you, it counts. If it drains you, it doesn't. The key to this chapter is consistency, not intensity. You don't need to create something huge every day. You just need to create something. One step, one block, one small brick. The brain responds powerfully to completion. Each time you finish something meaningful, your mind releases dopamine tied to achievement. That small win becomes fuel. It boosts your confidence, strengthens your discipline, and reduces overwhelm. When you build daily, you prove to yourself that you are capable of progress. Progress creates peace. Progress creates purpose. Progress creates power. Imagine this pattern across 90 days. 90 days of producing something every single day, 90 days of small wins, 90 days of momentum that compounds. By the end, you don't just have results. You have a transformed identity, one that believes in effort, consistency, and follow-through. Most people never build anything meaningful in their day because they fall into two traps, the trap of distraction and the trap of pressure. Distraction pulls their attention in a million directions. Pressure convinces them that their output has to be perfect, impressive, or massive. And because they cannot do something big, they choose to do nothing at all. Nothing ruins progress faster than the belief that small isn't enough. Small is everything. Small is sustainable. Small becomes big through repetition. This daily output ritual also fixes a major problem in modern life. The feeling of being busy but unproductive. Many Americans end their day exhausted, yet frustrated, because despite doing so much, they accomplished nothing meaningful. Their time was filled, but their life was empty. When you dedicate even 15 or 30 minutes to meaningful output, that frustration dissolves, because you know you moved forward. Busy isn't progress. Movement isn't momentum. Only output counts. Now let's break down the structure that makes daily output achievable and powerful. Every morning, choose your one meaningful action, the single thing you will complete today. Write it down. Say it out loud. Commit to it. Then protect time for it. You can do this in your builder's hour, but it doesn't have to be the same hour every day. What matters is completion. When you start your meaningful action, eliminate distractions. No checking messages, no jumping between tasks, no multitasking. Multitasking dilutes your ability to go deep. Depth is where meaningful output lives. Work on your action until it is done, even if the done is simply the smallest possible version. Your goal is completion, not perfection. Perfection delays your future. Completion builds it. Some days, your meaningful output will be small. Other days, you'll do something bigger than you expected. The size doesn't matter. What matters is continuity. The brain trusts what you repeat. When you show up every day, your mind begins to expect results. You form the identity of a builder, not a thinker, not a dreamer, not a planner, a builder. Builders don't wait. Builders don't hope. Builders act, and builders change their lives faster than anyone else. This daily output habit also protects your mental health. When you're actively creating something you care about, anxiety decreases. Stress becomes manageable. Confidence rises. Purpose sharpens. The emotional benefits compound just as powerfully as the tangible ones. You begin living in alignment with the future you want rather than the past you're trying to escape. Purpose is built, not found. Confidence is earned, not wished for. Imagine 90 days of meaningful output. 90 small steps, 90 tiny victories. 90 choices that say, I'm moving forward. That's how you turn a season of rebuilding into a lifetime of personal power. That's how you shift from feeling lost to feeling unstoppable. Because here's the truth. People don't fail because their goals are too big. They fail because their daily actions are too small and inconsistent. When your daily output becomes consistent, your long-term goals begin to collapse toward you. You feel closer to them, you feel capable of them, and eventually you feel destined for them. Build something meaningful today. Build something meaningful tomorrow. Build something meaningful every day for 90 days. Do that, and the person you become will shock you. This is the chapter where talk becomes action. This is the chapter where intention becomes identity. This is the chapter where you prove to yourself first that you are capable of building the life you want. A meaningful life is built one meaningful day at a time. And today, yours begins. Chapter 5. Learn one sharp thing. Every day, you don't need more information. You need sharper information. You don't need endless learning. You need intentional learning. One sharp insight a day can change everything. We live in a time where knowledge is everywhere, but wisdom is rare. People scroll through hundreds of posts, watch dozens of videos, skim endless headlines, and mistake exposure for education. But information without intention creates confusion, not clarity. It fills the mind, but never strengthens it. True learning is not about consuming more. It's about extracting the small pieces that actually matter. The right idea at the right moment can reshape your entire direction. That's why learning must become a daily discipline, not a random habit. For the next 90 days, your goal is simple. Learn one sharp, useful, actionable thing every single day. Not 10 things. Not an overwhelming list, just one insight that sharpens your mind and strengthens your future. This is the opposite of the modern information diet. In America today, people are drowning in content, but starving for clarity. They know a little about everything, but nothing deeply. They collect facts, but don't apply them. They learn for entertainment, not evolution. Your 90-day rebuild requires something different, thoughtful learning. Learning is not about knowing more. Learning is about becoming more. Intentional learning gives your mind something powerful, direction. When you feed your brain one valuable insight every day, you shape your thinking. You sharpen your decision-making. You expand your awareness. And you build a mindset that can handle pressure, change, and opportunity with confidence. A sharper mind makes a stronger life. Let's talk about how to choose your daily insight. Every day, you will pick one idea from one source, something that builds your identity, skills, or discipline. It can come from a book, a podcast, a mentor, an experience, a mistake, or a problem you're facing. What matters is that it has substance. Something you can use, something you can apply. If it elevates your thinking, it counts. If it wastes your energy, it doesn't. Once you find your insight for the day, you follow a 3-line method. 3 lines, no more, no less. Line 1. The idea. Line 2. How it applies to your life today. Line 3. One action you will take because of it. These 3 lines turn learning into transformation. They force your brain to digest the insight instead of letting it drift away. They train you to apply knowledge instead of admire it. They make your learning practical, personal, and powerful. Knowledge without action is noise. Knowledge with action becomes identity. This daily learning habit also rewires your brain. Every useful insight strengthens your neural pathways. Every application creates a pattern of clarity. Over time, your brain becomes more precise, more focused, and more capable of deep thinking. You become someone who thinks ahead instead of falling behind. Someone who sees patterns instead of problems. Someone who responds instead of reacts. Your mind becomes sharper because you train it, not because you hope for it. Imagine the compounding effect of 90 sharp insights, 90 ideas that refine your direction, 90 decisions that elevate your standards, 90 small upgrades to the way you think, act, and lead your life. That's not minor growth. That's a mental transformation. But intentional learning requires discipline. You must resist the temptation to chase the next shiny piece of information. Resist the urge to skim. Resist the desire to learn passively. That's how most people consume content, quickly, carelessly, and without purpose. They learn in a way that keeps them busy but unchanged. Real learning is slower, deeper, and intentional. Don't chase information. Extract value. Practice application. Intentional learning also requires honesty. Not everything you read or watch is good for your mind. Some content weakens you. Some distracts you. Some trains your brain to think shallowly. When you're rebuilding your mind, you must guard what you allow in. Your input shapes your identity. Your identity shapes your future. You become what you repeatedly consume. Choose knowledge that strengthens you. Choose mentors who challenge you. Choose ideas that elevate you. This habit, just like the previous chapters, transforms more than your day. It transforms your identity. When you learn one sharp thing every day, you become someone who is constantly evolving. Someone who does not remain stuck. Someone who improves even when life feels heavy. That identity gives you stability, confidence, and momentum no matter what your circumstances are. A growing mind is a resilient mind. A stagnant mind collapses under pressure. And here's another truth. When you learn intentionally, your focus improves. Your brain becomes better at choosing what matters. You stop letting random thoughts hijack your attention. You become more selective, more deliberate, more grounded. This is exactly what the 90-day rebuild is designed to teach you. Clarity over chaos. Now imagine where you will be 90 days from now. Wiser, calmer, more capable, more self-directed, more confident in your ability to think clearly and act intentionally. Imagine making decisions with a sharper mind. Imagine solving problems without panic. Imagine moving through your day with awareness instead of overwhelm. That version of you becomes real through daily insights, not through dramatic breakthroughs. You don't need lightning strikes of inspiration. You need daily upgrades, repeated until clarity becomes your default. You can't rebuild your life with yesterday's thinking. You rebuild it with tomorrow's insight applied today. One sharp thing a day, one better decision, one stronger mind. Choose your insight. Write your 3 lines. Apply it before the day ends. Do this for 90 days, and you won't just learn more. You will become more. And that is the purpose of Chapter 5. Not to fill your mind, but to reshape it. Not to overwhelm you, but to sharpen you. Not to teach you everything, but to teach you one powerful thing every day. When your mind grows, your life follows, and your 90 days start shaping the person you were meant to become. Chapter 6. Use your body to activate your mind. Your mind doesn't power your body. Your body powers your mind. A strong mind cannot survive inside a weak, stagnant body. Energy is not something you wait for. It's something you create. Most people think their lack of focus comes from mental weakness, but more often, it comes from a body that is under-energized, overstressed, and underutilized. The brain relies on movement, blood flow, oxygen, and activation to function properly. When the body is still for too long, the mind becomes foggy, scattered, tense, and slow. This is why so many Americans feel mentally exhausted even when they haven't done anything physically demanding. They're running a high-performance brain on low-performance energy. A tired body creates a tired mind. A strong body creates a sharp mind. When you rebuild your mind over 90 days, your body must be part of that transformation. Not through punishment, not through extreme workouts, but through daily activation, the kind of movement that wakes up your nervous system, resets your stress levels, and triggers clarity. You don't need hours in the gym, you need consistency. 10 to 20 minutes a day. That's it. Small enough to sustain, powerful enough to change you. Movement is medicine. Movement is momentum. Movement is mental power. Let's be honest, modern life makes movement optional. People sit all day at work, sit again during their commute, sit in front of screens at night, and then wonder why they feel anxious, unfocused, or unmotivated. The human body was not designed for stillness. Stillness creates internal noise. Movement reduces it. When you move your body, you regulate your emotions, boost your motivation, and create biological conditions for deep focus. Your brain is a high-performance engine. Movement is the ignition. That's why Chapter 6 introduces a simple rule. Before you use your mind, activate your body. This daily practice can transform your entire 90-day rebuild. Even 5 minutes of intentional movement can shift your energy, mood, and clarity instantly. The goal is not intensity, it's activation. A signal to your brain, we're awake, we're alive, we're in control. A short walk, a stretch routine, a brief HIIT circuit, a few rounds of deep breathing. Simple movements that prime your focus. You don't need to feel motivated to move. You move, and motivation follows. Movement reduces mental friction. It gets your blood flowing, stabilizes your cortisol, boosts endorphins, and activates the prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for focus, decision-making, and discipline. This is why successful people across America, from athletes to founders to high-level executives, begin their day with movement. They understand that clarity is a physical state as much as a mental one. Your body is the switch. Your mind is the light. Turn the switch first. Let's talk about what daily activation looks like. For your 90-day rebuild, you'll follow a simple protocol each day. Move your body for 10 to 20 minutes. Anything that increases your heart rate and wakes up your system. Breathe deeply for 1 to 2 minutes. Slow, intentional breaths activate your parasympathetic nervous system, your clarity zone. Stand tall and open your posture. Your posture affects your confidence and cognitive performance more than people realize. This 3-part activation requires almost no time, no equipment, and no special environment. Anyone can do it, anywhere. But its impact is massive. It resets your physiology and prepares your mind for everything that comes after. Activation before expectation. Preparation before performance. When you move your body first thing in the day, you teach your brain that today matters. You create momentum before the world demands anything from you. And momentum is one of the most powerful forces in the 90-day rebuild. It makes discipline easier. It makes decisions lighter. It makes challenges less intimidating. Most people wait to feel better before they move. High performers move so they feel better. Don't wait for energy. Create it. Your body is also where you store emotional tension, stress, frustration, fear, anxiety. All of these live in your muscles, your breath, your posture. Movement releases them. It clears your emotional bandwidth so your mind has space to think clearly. A mentally cluttered person is almost always physically stagnant. The moment they start moving, their entire emotional state shifts. Your emotions sit in your body, not your mind. Move your body, and your emotions start to move too. But here's the part that truly matters. Daily activation builds identity. When you move consistently, you begin to see yourself as someone who takes care of their body and their mindset. Someone who doesn't wait for perfect circumstances. someone who does the hard things even on tired days, and that identity shift supports every other chapter in your rebuild. Identity makes habits automatic. Habits make results inevitable. Imagine 90 days of consistent activation, 90 days of waking up and moving, 90 days of improving energy, stability, clarity, and confidence, 90 days of building a life that feels lighter, stronger, and more aligned with who you want to become. You would think better. You would feel better. You would decide better. You would live better. This isn't fitness advice. This is mental reconstruction. Because when your body wakes up, your potential wakes up with it. You cannot build a powerful mind on low energy. Fuel the body and the mind rises. And here's the final truth. You don't need a gym. You don't need equipment. You don't need a perfect schedule. You just need movement. Daily, intentional, and consistent. Movement is not about losing weight or chasing aesthetics. Movement is about reclaiming your presence, reclaiming your clarity, reclaiming your ability to show up fully for your life. Move your body and your mind will follow, every single time. This chapter is where your rebuild becomes physical, and once the physical changes, the mental transformation accelerates. Activate your body daily. Activate your mind for life. Chapter 7. Face what you're avoiding and take back your energy. Avoidance is the silent thief of your life. What you avoid doesn't disappear. It grows. And the longer you avoid it, the more power it takes from you. Every person carries unfinished tasks, unresolved situations, unspoken conversations, unpaid debts, undone responsibilities, and unmade decisions. These things pile up quietly in the background of your mind. You may not look at them, but you feel them, like weight on your chest, like fog in your mind, like noise you can't turn off. And over time, avoidance becomes exhaustion. Emotional exhaustion, mental exhaustion, life exhaustion. You're not tired because you're doing too much. You're tired because you're holding too much. In America today, many people live in a constant state of low-grade stress because they avoid the things that would bring them relief. The phone call they need to make, the document they need to finish, the bill they need to pay, the truth they need to admit. Avoidance steals more energy than action ever will. And when you're rebuilding your mind in 90 days, this energy leak must be sealed. You cannot build a new life while running from old responsibilities. Avoidance keeps you stuck. Action sets you free. Chapter 7 is about one thing. Fix one root problem that's draining your energy. Not 10. Not 5. Just one. When you fix one core issue, your entire life becomes lighter. Your mind becomes clearer. Your focus becomes sharper. Your confidence rises. Your nervous system calms down. It's one of the highest leverage actions in the entire 90-day rebuild. One solved problem can unlock 10 more. Let's be honest. Most people run from difficult tasks because the task seems big, emotional, or inconvenient. But the truth is that the fear of the task is almost always worse than the task itself. Your mind amplifies the discomfort. Your imagination multiplies the difficulty. But when you finally face it, the relief is immediate. Avoidance is imagined pain. Action is real relief. So here is the rule for this chapter. Choose one thing you've been avoiding, then solve it within 72 hours. This one action can reset your entire internal system. Begin by identifying the problem. Write it down. Name it clearly. Bring it into the open. Avoidance thrives in vagueness. When the problem is cloudy, it feels larger than it is. Clarity shrinks it. When you label the problem, you take back the first piece of power. Next, break the problem into a single minimum action step. One email, one payment, one conversation, one form, one message, one decision. Something small enough that your brain cannot argue with it. Something manageable enough to begin immediately. Break the problem until it becomes impossible not to start. Then set a 72-hour deadline. Why 72 hours? Because urgency builds momentum. If you give yourself a month, you'll delay. If you give yourself a week, you'll negotiate. But 3 days, 3 mornings, 3 evenings, 3 cycles of discipline is enough time to finish, but short enough to prevent excuses. Long deadlines kill progress. Short deadlines build identity. As you move through this process, you'll notice something powerful. Your mind feels lighter. You breathe deeper. Your thoughts feel cleaner. Your day feels easier. That's because the background stress dissolves the moment you face it directly. Your mind knows when you're avoiding something, and it knows when you finally take responsibility. Your brain rests when your responsibilities are honored. Let's talk about why this works so well. Avoidance keeps the nervous system activated. It creates a constant hum of anxiety because the brain understands that something is unfinished. When you handle a difficult task, your nervous system relaxes. Your focus returns. Your confidence increases. You begin trusting yourself again. Action creates peace. Avoidance creates chaos. There's another layer. Identity. When you solve something you've been avoiding, you create a new belief about yourself. You prove you can do hard things. You prove you're not controlled by fear or delay. You prove that you can lead your life instead of running from it. This belief changes your behavior in ways you don't expect. Confidence comes from courage, not comfort. Now imagine the long-term effect. 90 days of identifying small root problems. 90 days of solving one thing at a time. 90 days of reducing mental noise and emotional pressure. Your future becomes lighter not because you avoid problems, but because you eliminate them. Most people wait for the right moment to face difficult things. But life doesn't reward waiting. Life rewards responsibility. Responsibility is freedom. Avoidance is captivity. You deserve a lighter life, a clearer mind, a calmer nervous system, a cleaner emotional space. And the fastest way to get there is to stop running from the things that steal your peace. Look at your life right now. What's the one thing, just one, that you've been avoiding? The thing you think about at night, the thing that appears in your mind randomly during the day, the thing that feels heavier every time you remember it. That is your doorway. That is your moment. Face it, handle it, free yourself. This is not about being perfect. This is about being honest. Honest about what's been draining you. Honest about what needs your attention. Honest about what you've been carrying for too long. And once you take action, even a small one, something inside you shifts. Your mind gets quieter. Your chest feels lighter. Your confidence grows stronger. Your focus becomes clearer. Because avoidance fogs your mind, but action clears it. You're stronger than the thing you're avoiding. You're more capable than your hesitation. You are more powerful than your fear. You're ready for relief, clarity, and freedom. This is your moment. Choose the one thing. Take one step, complete it within 72 hours, and watch your entire 90-day rebuild accelerate. Face what you fear. Handle what you've delayed. Reclaim the energy you lost. You cannot build a new mind while hiding from old problems. You must confront them, clear them, and rise above them. And today, that process begins. Chapter 8. Replace old habits before they replace your future. You don't rise because you want to. You rise because your habits allow you to. Your habits shape your identity. Your identity shapes your destiny. If you don't replace old habits, they will quietly replace your future. Most people don't fail because they lack ambition. They fail because their habits are still tied to an older version of themselves, an exhausted version, a distracted version, a confused version. Habits are powerful because they run automatically, beneath your awareness. You don't choose them. They choose for you. And if you don't consciously redesign them, they will continue making decisions you no longer want. A habit is a vote for the person you will become. Every day your habits are shaping your destiny, even when you're not paying attention. The question is, are they shaping the destiny you want, or the destiny you fear? The 8th chapter of your 90-day rebuild focuses on one essential truth. You cannot delete a habit. You can only replace it. This is the foundation of behavior change. Once a habit pathway exists in the brain, it doesn't disappear. It waits. It resurfaces when you're stressed, tired, overwhelmed, or distracted. That's why willpower alone doesn't work. You don't stop a habit by fighting it. You stop it by replacing it with something better. Replacement, not resistance, is how you change. Let's begin with this. Every bad habit has a trigger. A moment, a cue, a feeling. Noticing the trigger is the first skill. Maybe it's stress. Maybe it's boredom. Maybe it's loneliness. Maybe it's pressure. Maybe it's the end of a long day. When the trigger appears, your brain automatically reaches for the habit you've repeated the most, even if that habit hurts you. The habit isn't the problem. The trigger is the doorway. Once you identify the trigger, you gain control. Awareness breaks autopilot, and once autopilot breaks, you can choose differently. The goal isn't perfection, it's interruption. Interrupt the old pattern, and you weaken it. Replace it with a new action, and you strengthen the identity you want. The moment you interrupt a habit, you reclaim your life. Here's the rule. When an old habit appears, choose a new behavior within 3 seconds. This is called the 3-second replacement window, and it is powerful. When the urge to scroll, procrastinate, distract yourself, or escape appears, you have 3 seconds to pivot. 3 seconds to shift the energy. 3 seconds to break the old loop. That small window is all your brain needs to rewire. 3 seconds can change 90 days. 3 seconds can change everything. Replacement habits don't need to be big. They need to be accessible, sustainable, easy enough that you can execute them even when you're tired. A walk, a glass of water, a 5-minute task, a breathing exercise, a page of reading, a room you clean for 2 minutes, a quick journal line. Small actions replace old patterns because small actions are repeatable. Small replaces big. Simple replaces complicated. Consistent replaces temporary. Let's talk about the emotion behind habits. Bad habits often grow from emotional gaps, stress gaps, boredom gaps, confidence gaps, purpose gaps. When you try to remove the habit without addressing the emotion, the habit returns. But when you replace the habit with something that serves your identity, the emotional gap begins to shrink. Your habits reveal your emotional needs. Your replacements redefine them. Most people try to break a habit using guilt, shame, or pressure. That approach fails. You don't rise by punishing yourself. You rise by upgrading yourself. You rise by outgrowing who you used to be, not by attacking yourself for being that person. You don't need more discipline. You need better systems. Habits are systems disguised as behaviors. A system is simply a loop your brain follows because it worked once. When you give your brain a better loop, one that feels rewarding, it naturally starts choosing it. That's the magic of habit replacement. It builds automatic discipline. Make the right habit the easy one. Make the wrong habit the inconvenient one. And here's the part many people overlook. Your environment is the biggest influence on your habits. If your environment supports your weakness, you will always lose. If your environment supports your strength, you will always win. Clean your space. Simplify your surroundings. Remove friction around good habits. Add friction around bad ones. When your environment becomes aligned with your identity, your habits follow effortlessly. Discipline becomes natural when your environment is designed for it. Now imagine yourself 90 days from now. 90 days of replacing old habits with new ones. 90 days of living by intention instead of impulse. 90 days of identity upgrades repeated daily until they stick like instinct. You would no longer be the person who procrastinates. You would no longer be the person who avoids. You would no longer be the person who breaks promises to yourself. You would become the version of you that follows through, quietly, consistently, confidently. Identity is not who you are. Identity is who you repeatedly choose to be, and every time you replace an old habit, you choose your future over your past. Let's end with this. Your habits are not just routines. They are life-shaping forces. They are contracts with your future self. They are daily votes for who you become. And for the next 90 days, your job is simple. Replace what weakens you. Reinforce what strengthens you. Repeat until the new identity feels natural. Replace your habits. Rebuild your mind. Reclaim your future. Your transformation is not a battle. It's a replacement. And today, that replacement begins.
Chapter 9. Track your progress, so you stop lying to yourself.
What you don't track you can't improve. What you don't measure, your mind will distort. And if you keep guessing, you'll keep repeating the same mistakes. Most people are not failing because their efforts don't work. They're failing because they never measure anything long enough to see what does work. They live in a loop of assumptions, thinking they're consistent when they aren't, believing they're trying hard when they're not, assuming they're improving when nothing has really changed. When you rely on memory instead of measurement, your brain will always exaggerate the wrong things and minimize the right ones. The mind forgets. The numbers don't. Tracking isn't about judgment or pressure. It's about clarity. It's about honesty. It's about removing the emotional noise and seeing your life as it truly is. Because once you see the truth, you gain control. And without truth, there is no change, only repetition. Progress requires proof. Proof requires tracking. Chapter 9 introduces one of the most powerful tools in your 90-day rebuild, the daily 5-box system. This system keeps you honest, keeps you grounded, and keeps you moving forward when motivation disappears. Your daily tracker includes 5 simple entries. Start time of your intentional work, your meaningful output of the day, your focus score, 1-5, your energy score, 1-5. 1 note of reflection, that's it. 5 boxes, 2 minutes a day, a lifetime of clarity. Tracking is not about perfection. It's about self-awareness. When you write down your start time, you take responsibility for how your day begins. You stop pretending you had no time and accept the truth. You either made time or you didn't. When you document your meaningful output, you stop lying to yourself about productivity. You stop confusing movement with progress. You stop calling busyness work. Busy people lose years. Focused people make them count. Your focus score forces honesty. It tells you whether your brain showed up or whether distraction stole the day. Your energy score helps you see patterns. What drains you, what strengthens you, what hours you work best, what habits boost or destroy your clarity. And your single line of reflection becomes a map of who you are becoming. Your life leaves patterns. Patterns reveal truth. Truth creates transformation. Let's talk about why people resist tracking. They're afraid to see the gap between who they are and who they want to be. Afraid to face inconsistency. Afraid to confront the truth that their effort hasn't matched their expectations. But every great transformation begins with truth. And the moment you shine light on your habits, everything changes. Awareness is the first step toward mastery. When you track daily, something powerful happens. You begin to trust yourself. You stop overestimating your effort. You stop underestimating your growth. You stop letting emotions dictate how you feel about your progress. The data becomes your anchor, and anchors create stability. Emotion fluctuates. Tracking grounds you. Tracking also boosts your motivation in a surprising way. When you see your streaks build, day after day, week after week, you begin to feel momentum. Momentum becomes pride. Pride becomes identity. Identity becomes consistency. And consistency becomes transformation. You don't stay consistent because you feel good. You stay consistent because you know exactly what you've done. Now imagine yourself 90 days from now with a full log of every action, every hour, every improvement, every struggle, every win. You would have a record of your evolution, a blueprint of your discipline, a mirror that shows you exactly who you've become. Most people live blindly. You will live intentionally. Most people hope they're improving. You will know you're improving. The 90-day rebuild isn't about guessing. It's about building your new identity with evidence. Let's go deeper. Tracking also reveals hidden truths about your life. It will show you the habits that silently drain your energy, the tasks that make you feel alive, the people who lift you up, the environments that weaken you, the hours where your mind is strongest, the patterns that sabotage your progress, the rituals that anchor your best self. When you see these patterns clearly, you begin making smarter decisions. You stop pouring energy into what doesn't matter. You stop repeating behaviors that lead nowhere. You stop blaming yourself for results you never prepared for. Tracking gives you the power to adjust your actions with precision. You cannot fix what you refuse to see. Tracking opens your eyes. But there's another reason tracking is essential. Your brain needs evidence to believe in your transformation. When you track, you show yourself proof. And proof rewires your identity. Without proof, your brain doubts your progress. With proof, your brain reinforces the new pattern. Transformation accelerates when your identity aligns with your effort. Effort builds results. Results build belief. Belief builds identity. And identity is what keeps you moving long after motivation fades. Picture the next 90 days, every day documented, every hour of focus accounted for, every output recorded, every reflection noted, your entire journey captured. Real, visible, undeniable. That's not just progress. That's personal evidence. Evidence you can't ignore. Evidence nobody can take from you. Evidence that proves you didn't dream your way into change. You built it. Most people drift because they don't track. You will rise because you do. Your mind becomes sharper. Your standards become higher. Your actions become cleaner. Your progress becomes visible. Your life becomes yours again. And it all begins with a pen, a note, and 2 minutes of honesty. Track your progress daily. Track your effort honestly. Track your life deliberately. When you track your journey, you stop lying to yourself. When you stop lying to yourself, you start trusting yourself. And when you trust yourself, you become unstoppable. This is why Chapter 9 matters. Because rebuilding your mind is not just about action, it's about awareness. It's about accountability. It's about owning your growth. Your future deserves accuracy. Your mind deserves clarity. Your life deserves truth. And the truth begins when you start tracking. Chapter 10. Become the person who does the work. You don't rise because you want a new life. You rise because you become a new person. Habits don't transform you. Identity does. When your identity shifts, your entire life follows. This final chapter of your 90-day rebuild is the most important of all. Because everything you've done up to this point, the builder's hour, the morning wins, the protection of your focus, the meaningful output, the daily insights, the movement, the facing of avoidance, the replacement of old habits, the tracking, none of it lasts unless your identity changes. Action without identity becomes temporary. Identity with action becomes permanent. You don't sustain what you do. You sustain who you believe you are. Most people try to change their life while keeping the same identity. They call themselves undisciplined while trying to build discipline. They call themselves inconsistent while trying to stay consistent. They call themselves anxious while trying to be calm. That's why change doesn't stick. You can't build a new life while repeating an old story. Your story must change before your life can. Identity is simply the set of beliefs you hold about yourself, conscious or unconscious, and those beliefs drive everything: your habits, your thoughts, your actions, your decisions, your energy. Identity is the invisible architecture of your life. If you don't intentionally shape it, the world will shape it for you. Identity is destiny. Rewrite your identity. Rewrite your destiny. For the next 90 days, you will shift your identity deliberately. Not through fake affirmations or unrealistic expectations, but through evidence, through action, through proof. You will become the person who does the work, not the person who talks about the work, not the person who hopes for the work, the person who shows up consistently, quietly, relentlessly. Identity is built through repetition of truth. To reshape your identity, you start with the smallest but most powerful phrase. I am the type of person who... This phrase rewires your mind because it moves from behavior to identity. I am the type of person who honors my morning. I am the type of person who protects my focus. I am the type of person who finishes what I start. I am the type of person who chooses discipline over comfort. I am the type of person who keeps promises to myself. Every time you repeat this to yourself after taking the action, your new identity locks in deeper. Identity follows action. Action follows belief. Belief follows evidence. This is why the 90-day rebuild works. You aren't becoming someone new through motivation. You're becoming someone new through proof. Every hour you protect, every habit you replace, every problem you face, every insight you apply, every day you track, it all becomes evidence your mind cannot ignore. Your brain believes what you repeatedly prove. Now let's talk about the two identities that destroy progress. the identity of inconsistency, and the identity of self-doubt. Inconsistency is not a personality trait. It's a pattern created by unclear identity. When you see yourself as someone who tries, you permit quitting. When you see yourself as someone who struggles, you tolerate low standards. But when you see yourself as someone who shows up, excuses lose their power. Discipline becomes easier because it becomes who you are, not something you force. Consistency becomes effortless when it becomes part of your identity. Self-doubt is even more dangerous. It whispers that you aren't capable, that you aren't ready, that you aren't enough. But self-doubt dissolves when confronted with evidence. When you collect 90 days of proof, real proof that you followed through, your brain stops arguing with your potential and starts accepting your power. Confidence is not a feeling. Confidence is a pattern. Let's build that pattern. Every night as you close your daily tracker, you reaffirm your identity with one sentence. Today, I proved who I am becoming. This sentence matters because transformation is not about intensity. It's about identity confirmation. Every day you show up, you confirm the new you. Every day you follow your plan, you confirm the new you. Every day you avoid what weakens you and choose what strengthens you, you confirm the new you. Identity grows one confirmation at a time. This is why the 90-day journey is so powerful. It gives you 90 opportunities to shape a stronger identity. 90 chances to show yourself that you are capable. 90 days to break the story of who you used to be. Now imagine yourself at the end of these 90 days. You wake up and trust your discipline. You sit down and your focus arrives naturally. You choose meaningful action without hesitation. You no longer negotiate with yourself. You no longer fear hard things. You no longer see yourself as the old version, the overwhelmed one, the scattered one, the inconsistent one. You have rebuilt your foundation. You have rebuilt your habits. You have rebuilt your clarity. And now you have rebuilt your identity. This is the moment everything changes. Identity is the glue that holds your transformation together. Identity is the engine that keeps your disciplines alive. Identity is the anchor you return to when life gets hard. You will not always feel motivated. You will not always feel ready. But if your identity is strong, you will always return to the path. A powerful identity can carry you through weak moments. So here is your final challenge. For the next 90 days, act like the future version of yourself. Not tomorrow, not someday. Today. Every decision you make, ask one question. What would the stronger version of me choose right now? And then choose that, again and again, until the stronger version of you is no longer a version. It's you. This is how you finish the 90-day rebuild. Not by becoming perfect, but by becoming aligned. Aligned with your values, aligned with your habits, aligned with your purpose, aligned with your identity. Become the person who does the work. Become the person who shows up. Become the person who finishes. Become the person your future depends on. Your 90 days aren't just a program. They are the beginning of your new identity. And that identity will build the rest of your life. The 90 days that rebuilt you. 90 days ago, you made a promise to yourself. A promise to rise, to rebuild, to become someone stronger than your excuses, louder than your doubts, and more committed than your old habits. And you kept that promise. Most people never finish what they start. They quit after the first setback. They retreat when the work becomes uncomfortable. They shrink when the journey demands consistency. But you didn't quit. You didn't retreat. You didn't shrink. You showed up, day after day, moment after moment, hour after intentional hour. You rebuilt your life 4% at a time. Think back to where you began. Your mornings were chaotic. Your focus slipped through your fingers. Your habits ran your day instead of serving it. Your energy was drained by distractions, avoidance, and noise. You moved through your life reacting instead of choosing. That version of you feels distant now, not because everything became easier, but because you became stronger. You became the leader of your mind. You became the architect of your future. You became the person who follows through. Over the last 90 days, you proved something profound. The greatest transformation doesn't happen in big moments. It happens in small, repeated choices. It happens in quiet victories. It happens in the unseen hours when no one is watching. It happens when you honor your commitment even on the days when motivation disappears. You didn't wait for a better life. You built one. Look at what you've done. You claimed your mornings. You protected your focus. You created meaningful output every day. You learned one sharp thing that shaped your thinking. You activated your body to sharpen your mind. You faced what you were avoiding and freed your energy. You replaced old habits with new ones. You tracked your progress with honesty, and you built an identity that supports your future rather than sabotages it. This isn't just progress. This is rebirth. And the most important truth is this: your 90 days are not the end. They are the beginning. Because transformation isn't a finish line. It's a lifestyle. It's a standard. It's a new way of moving through the world. You now carry the proof that you are capable of consistency. You carry the evidence that you can take control of your focus. You carry the identity of someone who finishes what they start. And once you know that about yourself, everything changes. Every opportunity becomes possible. Every challenge becomes manageable. Every goal becomes reachable. Every dream becomes legitimate. You've built the foundation. You've built the discipline. You've built the character. Now build the life. And as you continue growing, remember this: the world is filled with voices telling you to rush, compete, compare, and distract yourself. But you know better now. You know the power of slowing down, of choosing intention, of protecting your mind, of honoring your time, of creating instead of consuming, of becoming instead of drifting. You don't need permission to keep rising. You're already becoming the person you once prayed you could be. This journey isn't about perfection. It's about direction. It's about consistency. It's about truth. And you've already proven the truth. You can rebuild your mind. You can sharpen your focus. You can rise every day. The future you want is no longer a dream. It's a decision. And you now have everything you need to make it. This is your new identity. This is your new standard. This is your new life. And for everyone searching for strength, clarity, or a guide on their own journey, share what helped you. Let them know where your rebuild began. Let them know where they can start theirs. Best Audiobooks. You rebuilt yourself in 90 days. Now imagine what you'll do with the rest of your life. This is your time. Go build it.